Respect at tinatawag natin as our steps in solving verbal problems in math. So una, R stands for read, relate, and represent. So of course, since these are word problems in math, so the first thing you are going to do is to read the problem. So since isang magandang araw sa inyong lahat, my dear students. So, bati tayo ng bati in English eh. Why not use this time our own language? So, isang magandang araw ulit sa inyong lahat, mga mahal kong mag-aaral. So, ngayon, ipagpapatuloy natin ang ating discussion about radicals. So, we are now on lesson number 16. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is now the last discussion for the second grading period. So lesson number 16 here, or 17 rather, we are now on lesson number 17. So lesson number 17 here, we are going to talk about word problems involving radicals. So word problems, this is the same as applications. Application in real life is the same as problem solving. So kapag na-encounter yung title ng lesson ay problem solving, application, and word problems, they are just the same. So we are dealing there with problems of that topic that we discussed, which are written in words. So this time, we are going to discuss word problems involving radicals. So since again, this is about word problems, so we have discussed before that when we are solving any kind of verbal problems or worded problems in math, so we are going to use that same step. So do you still remember the steps that we call? So yun pa rin yung steps na i-apply natin in order for us to apply, in order for us to solve these word problems involving radicals. So just to recall, ano nga ba yung respect na tinatawag natin as our steps in solving verbal problems in math? So una, R stands for read, relate, and represent. So of course, since these are word problems in math, so the first thing you are going to do is to read the problem. So since there are givens there in the problem, so those given are to be related on what we are looking for in the problem. Then aside from after that, we are going to represent. Usually there is unknown in the problem. So we are going to represent that unknown in the problem by means of a variable. And usually we are going to start writing our solution from representation. So that's the first, that's R. Then after reading, relating, and representing, E will follow. And E stands for equate. So that's the time now that we are going to form the equation by going back to the problem itself. So we are going to read the problem word by word for us to form an equation. So since we are dealing with radicals here, so dapat ang mag-form nating equation is what we call as radical equations. Then after equating, forming the equation, S will follow. So that's the time now that we are going to solve for that given radical equations. So we know already on how to solve radical equations because we have discussed that already the last time. So that's the time now that we are going to solve give a radical equation, the equation that we formed when we apply step number 2. So ano pang ginagawa natin doon? So ina-apply natin yung steps natin na tinatawag natin LBM. Yung re-remove muna natin yung radical sign in the given radical equations. Then after that, isolating the equation until we come up with the value of the variable. Then, after S, after solving, P will follow. P stands for prove. Yung proving ginagawa natin in order for us to check if the answer is correct. So, paano ba ginagawa yung proving? So once nakakuha tayo ng value of the variable doon sa sunod nating given equation, yung proving ginagawa natin by substituting that value to the original given equation. So if it satisfies the given equation, then that means the value of the variable that you got is the correct value that we are looking for. So ang ganun ginagawa yung proving. So, yung lahat ng steps na yan in solving word problems involving radicals, i-apply natin when we solve a problem which involves radicals. So, mas maganda, mas maintindihan natin if we are going to apply it through examples na. So, let's have example number 1. So, let me read first problem number 1. So, problem number 1, sabi ito, the square root of the product of 4 and a number is 16. So, find the number. Again, when you read, there must be comprehension. Dapat naiintindihan mo what you are reading. So sabi dito, the square root of the product of 4 and a number. The square root of the product of 4 and a number is 16. So find the number. So in this problem, what we are looking for is the number. So since that's what we are looking for, so i-represent natin that one that we are looking for by means of a variable so that we can make use of that in forming the equation that we are looking for, that we can make use for us to solve the given problem. So how are we going to do that? So here's the solution to it. So applying the first step are, we are going to represent the unknown by means of a variable. So since what we are looking for is the number, so we are going to let x be the number. So that every time we hear the word number in a given problem, so that means we are pertaining to, that means we are going to make use of x as a symbol in representation for that number. Then second, forming the equation. Ang sabi doon sa given problem natin, if we're going to go back, the square root of the product of 4 and a number. Product of 4 and a number, that would be 4. The number is x, that would be 4x. Square root daw nun. So it should be square root of 4x. The product of 4 and a number, the square root of the product of 4 and a number is 16. So we'll form the equation square root of 4x is equal to 16. Since we do have the equation now, a radical equation, so it's time now that we are going to solve for it. So again, the given equation is the square root of 4x is equal to 16. So since we know already on how to solve radical equations, so what we are going to do here is to solve it by, since it was already arranged in the right form, so we can remove right away the radical sign. That is by raising both sides of the equation by the power same as the index. So since the index is 2, that means we are going to raise both sides of the equation by 2. Again, the purpose of it is for us to remove this radical sign here. So when we simplify it, nare-remove the radical sign as well as 2, matitira ay 4x is equal to 16 squared. What is 16 times 16? So we'll come up with 4x is equal to 256 because 16 times 16 is equal to 256. Since what you are looking for is the value of x, and x here is still accompanied by 4, so we still have to remove by 4. That is by dividing both sides of the equation by 4. So dividing 4x by 4, matitira ay x. So that is what we are looking for in the problem. Then dividing 256 by 4, that would be 25. Yung 25 muna divide by 4, that would be 6. May matitirang 1, magiging bring down 6, magiging 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we'll come up with the answer as 64. So the value of x is equal to 64. Ngayon, i-check muna natin if that value of x is really the value of the variable or is really the number that we are looking for in the problem. So that's proving will follow. So P, in order for us to prove that the value of x is really 64, so let's apply the proving. So that is by substituting the 64 in the given equation that we formed. So we come up here with 4, substituting x, that would be equal to 64 is equal to 16. So since both of them are perfect square, so just get the square root. The square root of 4, that would be 2, and the square root of 64, that would be 8. So magiging 2 times 8 yon. So ibig sabihin, wala na yung radical sign because both of them are perfect square. So we got its root. So 2 times 8 is equal to 16, which is equal to 16. So ibig sabihin, nung ginamit natin yung value ng x na 64 sa original equation natin, So that satisfies the given equation. So since we are solving again here worded problems in math, we should always come up with a conclusion in the end. That conclusion is the one that will answer what is asked in the problem. So since we are asking for the number, so therefore, on our conclusion, therefore, the number is 64. So yung conclusion na yon, that conclusion will answer what is asked now in the problem. So since we are looking for the number there, so therefore we can now conclude that the number that we are looking for is 64. Napatunayan natin yon, it's because na-prove natin siya using the equation by substituting that value of x na 64 to that given equation. That's why the value of x that we are really looking for is 64. So that's how we answer example number 1. Any question? So if none, let's proceed on answering number 2. So let's have example number 2. So again, let me first read the problem. Sample number 2, the square root of 1 more than twice a certain number is 5. So again, find the number. So dapat may off dito ha. Again, the square root of 1 more than twice a certain number is 5. Find the number. So still we are looking for the number here that will satisfy the condition in the problem. Ang condition natin, the square root of 1 more than twice a certain number is 5. So on our solution, of course, applying the first step, we are going to come up with representation. That is by letting x be the number. Because since we are looking for the number, so kailangan natin i-represent yung number na yun by means of a variable. So we made use of x. Then going back to the problem, informing the equation, sabi dito, the square root of 1 more than twice a certain number. 1 more than. Pag sinabi nung binanggit natin word na more than, ibig sabihin, the operation that we are using is addition. And it's baliktad yung pagsulat. So, unahin mo yung twice a certain number. The number is 5, di ba? And the number is x rather. So, that would be twice that number. That would be 2x. More than means plus. That would be 1. Then plus 1. That would be the square root of 1. The square root of 2x plus 1. So, yun magiging for na equation natin. The square root of 2x plus 1 is equal to 5. That is according to the condition in the problem. Then from there, since we already have the radical equation, so it's time now that we are going to solve the equation. So let's solve it. So the given equation is again the square root of 2x plus 1 is equal to 5. So since it was already arranged in the right form, so we can right away proceed on removing the radical sign in that given equation. That is by raising both sides of the equation by the power same as the index. So the index is 2, that's why we are going to raise both sides of the equation by 2. So in that way, in this left side of the equation, cancel out yung square root side, tsaka yung 2, multiply 2x plus 1. While on the right side, that would be 5 squared, that would be 5 times 5, which is 25. So magkakaroon tayo ng 2x plus 1 is equal to 25. Then isolating the equation by combining similar terms. So that is by moving 1 to the right side of the equation, magiging 25 minus 1 dito. So magiging 2x now is equal to 24. Okay, bakit naging 24? Kasi binove yung 1, naging minus 1, naging 25 minus 1, which is equal to 24. So since what we are looking for is x, so we still need to divide both sides of the equation by 2. Because still x here is accompanied by 2. So dividing both sides of the equation by 2, we come up on the left side as 2x divided by 2. The answer is x will be left. Then on the right side, that will be 24 divided by 2. That will be equal to 12. So the value of x that we got is 12. Ngayon, ititignan natin if that 12 is really the solution or really the number that we are looking for in the problem. So malalaman natin yan by proving it. So let's apply proving. The equation is this. All you have to do is to substitute the value of x na 12 in place of x here. So mangyayari, magiging ganito when we substitute it. That will be square root of 2 times x, which is 12 plus 1 is equal to 5. What is 2 times 12? that would be 24 plus 1 magiging 24 plus 1. And 24 plus 1 is equal to 25. So meron tayong square root of 25 is equal to 5. And what is square root of 25? Square root of 25 is a perfect square, right? The square root of 25 is 5 equal to 5. So nag-equal siya sa huli. So ibig sabihin, the value of x na 12 is really the solution that we are looking for. It's because it satisfies the condition in the problem. Ano ba yung condition na sinasabi natin na yan? Yung condition na yan, ayun yung equation na na-form natin when we start solving for the given problem. So, kung ano yung ma-form natin equation, dahil yun sa conditions na nakuha natin in the problem. So therefore, since 12 satisfies the conditions in the problem, now we can come up with a conclusion. So therefore, the number that we are looking for is 12. So that's how we answer example number 2. So may questions sa example number 2? And so let's try another example. Let's have number 3. Again, let me read problem number 3. So example number 3, the problem is 5 times the square root of 1 less than a number is equal to 3 more than the same number. Find the number. 5 times daw the square root. Ibig sabihin yung 5 na yon is outside. 5 times the square root of 1 less than a number. We made use of less than a word, at since baliktad ulit yon. So since we are looking for the number, so the first thing we're going to do is to represent that number by means of a variable. Again, let's make use of x as the number. Then by going back to the problem itself, we are going to form the equation. The equation that we are going to form there is 5 times the square root of x minus 1 is equal to x plus 3. Paano naging ganon? Sabi sa problem, that's 5 times the square root of 1 less than a number is 3 times 3 more than the same number. So magkakaroon tayo ng x plus 3. So ganito yung mapoform nating equation. So madaling salita, ito yung conditions natin in the problem. So ginawa lang natin siyang equation. So that's why magagamit natin yan in checking later on. So since we already have the equation, so we are now going to apply yung raising both sides of the equation and solving for that given equation. So we can now apply removing the radical sign by raising both sides of the equation by the power same as the index. So even though nasa labas yung 5 na yan, kasama pa rin siya when we raise this para matanggal yung square root sign na yon. Since binomial yung nasa right side, yung dalawang terms na yon, i-erase natin in the power same as the index. So pag ginawa natin yan, magiging ganito. So magkakaroon tayo ng square of binomial on the right side. Dito, in-erase natin yun. So matatanggal yun obviously. Pero didistribute mo muna siya on 5. So magiging 5 squared yun. So magiging 5 squared o 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Then times, since matatanggal na yun, magiging x minus 1. Then pa-expand naman natin x plus 3 quantity squared, magiging square ng first term. That would be x squared. Then twice the product of the first and the second, 2 times 3, that's 6 times x is 6x. Then square the last term, that's 3 squared, that would be 9. So magiging ganito ang kalalabasan. So pag 25 yun, so since times this x minus 1, 25 times x, that would be 25x, minus 25 times 1 is 25. With the application of distributive property. Then from there, let's apply combining similar terms. So move mo yung 25x to the right side. So magiging positive 25x, magiging negative 25x dito. Then negative 25 magiging plus 25 dito. So 6x magiging ganito ngayon ang kalalabasan. Magiging 6x minus 25. Unlike sides yun, so subtract 25 minus 6, that would be 19. So since negative yung 25, magiging negative 19x. Then 9, lipat mo yung negative 25, magiging plus 25, that would be equal to 34, which is equal to 0. So So makaka-form tayo ng quadratic equation. Now we are going to solve this quadratic equation by using factoring. What are factors of 34 that when added, the sum is 19? Diba meron tayong 17 and 2. So since negative yung middle natin, so therefore, ibig sabihin lang nun, and positive yung last term, ibig sabihin lang nun, the two numbers that we are multiplying are both negative because they come up with a positive answer in the end. So that's why, ang magiging factors niya ay x minus 17 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So that we can come up with the values of x as x is equal to 17 or x is equal to 2. Ngayon, titignan natin if these both values of x satisfies the condition in the problem. So, unahin natin yung 17. So, with the use of this given equation, so using 17, so we do have 5 times the square root of 17 minus 1 is equal to 17 plus 3. In place of x, papalitan natin ng 17. So, 17 minus 1, that would be 16. So, magiging ganito. 5 square root of 16, then 17 plus 3 is equal to 20. Then 16 is a perfect square. What is the square root of 16? That would be 4. So 4 times 5 is equal to, so since 4 yun, the square root of 16, so 5 times 4 now is equal to 20, equal to 20. So ibig sabihin, 17 is a solution. So now let's try also if 2 is also a solution. Because this time, let's make use 2 this on proving. So 5 square root of 2, yun yung value ng x minus 1 is equal to 2. Again, that's x plus t plus 3. Then 2 minus 1 is 1. What is the square root of 1? That is 1. So 2 times 2 plus 3. So maging ganito muna, simplify natin. That would be 5 square root of 2 minus 1 is 1 is equal to 5. Since the square root of 1 is 1, so magkakaroon tayo ng 5 times 1 is equal to 5. And 5 times 1 is 5, which is also equal to 5. So that 2 also satisfies the condition in the problem. So that means since both numbers or both values of x satisfies the condition in the problem, so we can now answer what is asked in the problem. So since we are looking for the number, so therefore we can conclude that the number is 17 or 2. Nakuha yung example number 3 na yun? So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang 17 yung satisfy sa condition natin in the problem, but also the number 2. Did you get that? Okay, let's proceed to another example. Let's have this time example number 4. Sample number 4, the given is, or the problem is, the formula R is equal to 2 square root of 5L can be used to approximate the speed R, which is in miles per hour, of a car that has left a skid mark of L, which is in terms of feet. How far will a car skid at 50 miles per hour? So yung problem natin, usually, pwedeng hindi natin gamitin yung steps natin eh. Kasi meron tayong given equation dyan. So pwede natin diretsuhin yun in forming the, in solving for what is unknown in the problem. But since we are applying the steps, so let's try to apply the steps also. So the formula, again, the formula R is equal to 2 square root of 5L can be used to approximate the speed R, which is in miles per hour, of a car that has left a skid mark of L, which is in terms of feet. So how far will a car skid at 50 miles per hour? So the solution to it, so ang given doon ay 50 miles per hour. Because what is asked in the problem, how far? That means we are pertaining to the distance. So that's why, since with the help of that given, so solve natin yung problem. So on our representation, we let R as the speed, which is in miles per hour, then L is the skid mark. Binanggit naman in the problem, so yung R, di ba? It's the speed which is in miles per hour, then L is the skid mark. But what we are asking is how far. So that means we are looking for L. Yung skid mark. How far is the skid mark? So, ayun yung hinahanap natin in the problem. So, the equation there is already given. So, the equation is R is equal to 2 square root of 5L. Because given dyan yung speed eh, which is 50 miles per hour. Kasi sabi na yung speed is in terms of miles per hour. So binanggit yung 50 miles per hour, so that means we are pertaining to the speed of it. So that means we are looking for the skid mark. So how long yung skid mark, gano'ng kahaba yun? So that's what we are asking in the problem. So with the help of this given in the problem, simply substitute it to the equation given also so that we can solve for this equation. So in solving for it, write first the given equation, then substitute the values of in the given. So ang value natin is 50 miles per hour. That's 50. That's the speed or the rate that we are looking for. Is it the rate? That's also the same as the rate. Is equal to 2 times the square root of 5L. So that this L is what we are looking for. Then from there, we can divide first both sides by 50. So magiging ganito ang kalalabasan. Pag divide mo by 2, rather, both sides by 2, so ito, divide by 2, magiging square root of 5L na lang. 50 divided by 2 is equal to 25. Then apply raising both sides of the equation by the power same as the index. So raising it, kakaroon tayo, pag raise natin to by 2, cancel out yung square root sign, magiging 5L na lang. Pag na-raise natin ito by 2, magiging 25 squared. That's 25 times 25 is equal to 625. And with the application of the commutative property wherein we can interchange their position, so magiging 5L is equal to 625. So since L is what we are looking for, so we still have to divide both sides of the equation by 5 to eliminate 5 here. So 5L divided by 5, that would be L, and 625 divided by 5 will come up with the value of L which is equal to 125. Yun daw yung distance ng skid mark. Yun nga lang, let's find out first if that value of L na 125 is really the one we are looking for in the problem. So by proving it, just simply substitute 125 in place of L here. So we'll come up with 50 as the value of given rate is equal to 2 times the square root of 5 times 125. 5 times 125 is equal to 625. And 625 is a perfect square. The square root of it is 25. So 25 times 2 will come up here as 50 is equal to 50. So that means this 125 that we got here as the value of L is really the value that we are looking for in the problem. Now, let us now come up with our conclusion. So the one that will answer what is asked in the problem. So therefore, a car will skid 125 feet at a speed of 50 miles per hour. So kailangan niya ng mag-skid siya ng 125 feet kasi yung skid mark is in terms of feet. So that's why yung conclusion natin, may unit of measurement, yung skid mark of a car, which is in terms of feet. So again, the conclusion is, therefore, a car will skid 125 feet at a speed of 50 miles per hour. So that's how we answer example number 4. I hope that you get example number 4. So example number 4 naman kasi, wala ka nang kailangan na i-form pa because the equation was already there, was already given. All you have to do is to substitute na lang yung ibang given dun sa equation for you to solve what is asked in the problem, just like what we did on example number 4. So let's have a similar example to that. Let's have now example number 5. So I guess this is already the last example. Example number 5. So let me read again problem number 5. One form of Coulomb's law in electricity states that D is equal to K square root of Q sub 1 times Q sub 2. In the formula, D is the distance between two charged bodies, Q sub 1 and Q sub 2, are the charges carried by the bodies. When Q is equal to 1, D is equal to 5 centimeters, and K is equal to 4, find Q sub 2. So So that's what we are looking. There are givens in the problem for us to answer what is asked in the problem. What we are looking for is the value of Q sub 2 with the given equation already. So again, since we are looking for the step, we are using the steps that we call just like, let's apply also that. So for our solution, ang given natin the problem, Q sub 1 is equal to 1. D, the distance is 5 centimeter, and K is 4. So you have to find Q sub 2. So on our representation, the first step, sabi doon, D stands for the distance, K is the constant. Para yung katulad sa ano sa sa variation. So that's just like what we got as, if I'm not mistaken, constant, columns constant. Parang ganoon. Constant columns. Parang ganoon yung K niya. Then Q sub 1 and Q sub 2 are the charges carried by the body. So we are looking for Q sub 2, which is one of the charges carried by the body. So that's what we are looking for. Then let's have the equation. Equation is already given in the problem. The equation is D is equal to K square root of Q sub 1 times Q sub 2. So what we are going to do to solve the problem is to substitute the given in the problem. Given yung D, so the equation is just like that. So substituting it, given yung D, which is 5 centimeters, is equal to K is 4. Then square root of Q sub 1 is 1 times Q sub 2. Pag simplify natin to, it's the same as Q sub 2 yung nasa loob. So magiging ganito. 5 is equal to 4 square root of Q sub 2 because 1 times Q sub 2 is Q sub 2. Then, from there, pwede na kaagad natin i-divide dyan by 4 para matanggal yung 4 dito. Magkakaroon dapat tayo ng 5/4. Pero ang ginawa here is that kaagad ni-raise both sides of the equation by the power same as the index. So pag ni-raise mo to, syempre kasama yung 4. Pag ni-raise mo yan, 4 squared, that would be 16. Then mariremove na yung radical sign, matitira is Q sub 2. While on the other side, that would be 5 squared, that would be 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Then, we can divide both sides of the equation by 16 to come up with the value of Q sub 2. So magkakaroon tayo ng value ng Q sub 2 which is equal to 25/16. So yun yung Q sub 2 natin. Now, i-prove pa natin if that value that we got is really the value that we are looking for, the value of Q sub 2. So using the equation in the problem, substitute lang natin mga nakuha natin. 5, ito yung distance, is equal to 4, yun yung value ng K. Square root of 1, the value of Q sub 1, and 25/16 is the value of Q sub 2. 1 times 25/16 is the same as 25/16. And 25 and 16 are both perfect square. When you get the square root of it, square root of 25 is 5, square root of 16, that would be 4. So meron kang 4 times 5/4. So you can cancel out 4 here. So ang matitira ay 5 na lang. So that will come up with 5, which is equal to 5. So that means the value of Q sub 2, the 25/16, is really the value that we are looking for in the problem. So let's proceed now on our conclusion. So the conclusion now is that, therefore, Q sub 2 is equal to 25/16. If you want to be specific, since 25 is not exactly divisible, pwede mong i-transform yan into decimals. So 25 divided by 16, you'll come up with 1.56. Since wala namang unit of measurement yung given dun sa charges carried by the body, so wala tayong unit of measurement dun sa conclusion natin. We think that conclusion is the one that will answer what is asked in the problem. So that's how we answer example number 5. So hopefully, naintindihan kung paano sinagutan simula examples number 1 hanggang example number 5. So that would be all for today. Goodbye, class!